Hello everyone, Nika here with your daily neuro nugget. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I cannot believe it is Thursday already. So I'm wishing you a day full of happiness, full of light, full of love, and full of brain power. Why? Because we are going to need it. The internet seems to have completely lost its mind after Mr. Bryan Kohberger offered his real alibi through his attorneys yesterday. So let me know if you watched all of that. We are going to be covering that in this video. Before we get started, I will be sharing my tea of the day, and it can't be any better. I'm simple. The simple things in life are important. So, Mexican mug with a Mexican tea. In Mexico, this roux, it is called ruda, R-U-D-A, and it is often steeped in hot cocoa, which actually I believe enhances the flavor profile of the hot cocoa. It's amazing. Today I have it just steeped in water, and it is amazing for stimulating appetite, for lowering stress, and also for helping your joints and your muscles relax. So this is amazing if you have some tightness. Of course, do your own research before you drink any of these teas. Let me know if you've tried this tea and if you like my awesome mug. It's my only vice, by the way, collecting mugs. Doesn't even need sweetener. Let's talk about this alibi now. Per Mr. Kohberger, where was he really on November 13, 2022? Pull up the documents, skim them yourself. That way they can enter your brain and has a bigger impact when you see this stuff yourself. So he was hiking, running, seeing the moon and stars. The document mentions that he drove throughout the area south of Pullman, Washington, west of Moscow, Idaho, including Wawawai Park. I believe there's going to be a lot of mispronunciations in this video, so bear with me. I am a polyglot and English is not my first language, so feel free to correct me. Now, this park is massive, okay? When I look it up, it shows 49 acres of wilderness, of mountains, of lakes. I believe there is a river, Snake River, running through it. So 49 acres is large. It will be very interesting to see how this ends up playing out in trial. People are saying that Kohberger is hiding the truth because why would he have not offered this information up from the get-go? Now, the court documents also say that the cell phone data will show that Mr. Kohberger was not in the area at the time of the crime. Instead, they say that the evidence will show he was driving west. And if you have not heard of Google Maps, go Google it, because I have seen so many low IQ people say that stating these directions, stating that he was in this park, actually puts him at the crime scene. But if you know how to use the internet or a basic map, you know that 1122 King Road is actually northeast of this area. So look at a map, please. And because of the gag order, more information is supposed to be shared after the prosecutors provide discovery evidence. Okay? That is a big FU to Bill Thompson, but it is amazing that Anne and Alyssa are doing this. Why? Because we know that they have been begging Bill and the feds for discovery. And basically, in this very long legal document, Anne and Alyssa are saying, you know what? We will give you more information, but before we do that, well, you need to give us discovery. The discovery that we have been asking for 15 months now, that we have yet to see anything. And what does Bill usually do? Well, he says, well, it's not my fault. It's kind of the feds. Is it the feds? Is it Bill? Does it even matter? The point is there's a stall, and I think it is a very intelligent move that Kohberger's team is not going to give up any more information. Why? Everything you say and do and share will be used against you. So why would Mr. Kohberger, if he is intelligent, why would he share more? Should he even trust anyone outside of his team at this point? I'm going to say no. Therefore, say as little as possible, Mr. Kohberger, so that you can protect yourself, right? That makes sense, right? What would you do? Let me know down in the comments. Now, people who live in, also, how do you pronounce this? Palouse? People who live in Palouse and people who live in Moscow have actually mentioned that you do not have to go very far in order to get to a very rural area where there is little to no cell phone coverage. Keep this in mind because so many people have said that it is how very convenient that Kohberger turned his phone off while he was out there committing the crime, allegedly. But when you understand how these rural towns are, if you have ever lived in a small town, you understand that just a short drive and you're in an area with no signal. Nobody has said Mr. Kohberger had turned his phone off. These are just speculations by the media, by the public. Could maybe he had just lost signal? I think it's very possible. Why? Scroll through some of the comments that people who live in Moscow have mentioned. I saw a comment by a local. This is what it says. I live in Moscow and have been in this area since birth. There are sections, even in town, where there is no cell phone coverage. Also, the countryside is literally all around the town. So this is a comment made by a local who has resided in the area forever, and they understand that even within their small town, there are areas where signal is horrible. So keep that in mind. It does not mean that just because there was no signal to his phone that he turned off his phone. Also, people are still saying, well, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. His alibi does not matter. Why? Because the only DNA that was found in the home was his. And that is false. We know that there are 3 other sources of unknown male DNA. Why that was not tested or looked into further, I do not know. If you have an inkling, let me know down in the comments below. So if you see somebody comment that, it's a good idea to correct them and remind them that that is false. There is more DNA that was found in the home. Also, touch DNA doesn't really place somebody in the crime scene. Too many people don't have the brain power, don't have the time or energy to go through all the legal docs, and they maybe have not read Bicca Barlow's declaration or how touch DNA works. And to sum it up, you can shake somebody's hand and they can shake somebody else's hand, and that can take place 6 times, and your DNA could be found at somebody else's house. Does that mean that you unalived somebody? No, right? So interesting. Anne is adamant that Mr. Kohberger is innocent. I don't think lawyers usually say, we know, we believe that our client is innocent unless they have a very good reason to. So I believe that Anne has a lot of information that is going to help them when the trial begins. And I think she is being very smart and keeping as much information as possible to herself and to her team, because that will give her the upper hand when the trial begins. So what sort of information does Anne know? Why is she so sure that Kohberger was not involved? Is it possible that there could be maybe pictures on his phone. We know that if you lose signal because you're out there hiking or trying to stargaze, and people have said, but it was so cloudy that night. We looked at the Weather Channel. Just because it says that that night was cloudy does not mean that he still could have not been potentially driving out there to jog or to walk or to say, you know what, I'm going to drive out there because maybe, just maybe, there is an area with minimal light pollution, aka this 49-acre park, and maybe, just maybe, I can see some stars or the moon. And it gives me the chills because I have done this literally thousands of times, and just to think that I could have ended up like Mr. Kohberger, potentially, meaning I'm alone and I'm running or hiking in nature, or I drove forever away to this park, which is not far away, by the way, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes from Pullman. And imagine you are out there by yourself, you have nobody with you. Now, suddenly you are the perfect person to be selected by cops who may need a perp. So keep that in mind, because now that is forever ingrained and etched into my brain. So could his Garmin have picked up GPS? I also have a Garmin. I used to be a runner, and sometimes, even though the phone may not pick up any signal, the GPS is sometimes very good on those Garmins. We know that he is a runner because people that were interviewed when this case first began said that they were out often running with Mr. Kohberger. So we know he's a runner. Maybe there is something there. And this park, Wawawai Park, remember, it is 49 acres of nature. I think that it is normal to assume that there is bad signal when we have locals telling us that within Moscow, within the town, there's often horrible service. So it is not far-fetched, guys. This, again, I think a lot of us, especially night owls, drive out far. We like nature. We like to go on runs in the dark by ourselves. Is that weird? I don't know, but I've done it thousands of times. Have you ever done that? Now I'm not doing that anymore, especially after this case. So yeah, just remember, whenever you're alone, it's very convenient if the cops need a perp. So keep that in mind. And another interesting thing is that, like I mentioned, the internet, they've lost their minds. They're saying Mr. Kohberger is just dragging this out, that he knows what he did. But it was so shocking to me how many people believe that he is guilty. Basically, what was the point of him sharing his alibi? Did it help Mr. Kohberger in any way? No, right? Because now people have said, well, he's lying. He's lying. He's going to say he was stargazing. Really? You were stargazing on a cloudy night? Maybe he wanted to see if there were any stars out. Really? He went out for a run in the dark? How weird is that? That's what your average American is saying online. Very sad. Very sad to have to think, for me and for us night owls, that now we have to basically record all of our movements, all of our steps, and have pictures and have proof if we are on our own. Why? Because again, we're easy targets for police officers, it seems like. Now, then we have other people, if you have been keeping track of the case of Tiffany Lucas, who unalived her own 2 tiny children, her 2 babies, and we know she did it, and she said she did it, and there's proof she did it, but that trial keeps getting pushed back, and people keep giving her the benefit of the doubt, although she said she didn't. It's 100% she did it, right? But people, they see a female and they say, you know what? She deserves another chance. She shouldn't be in jail. She is too beautiful. She is wasting away in jail. We should Pull her out of there. She doesn't deserve this. Somebody must have manipulated her. Really? And you know what her excuse was? Well, I was in such a bad spot. Right, because unaliving your 2 children was going to put you in a better spot. Yeah, and people are defending this woman. In my opinion, that is pure evil right there. Not somebody like Mr. Kohberger, where there is no evidence pointing to him even being involved in this crime. We have Tiffany Lucas, unalives her 2 babies, and everybody is saying, she doesn't deserve this. She's a beautiful young woman, okay? She was competent. She is emotionless. She knew what she was doing. So let me know, what do you think about Mr. Kohberger? What do you think about his alibi? Do you think that it is unfair to judge young men who enjoy nature, who enjoy driving alone at night to jog? Again, I used to do this, but I think, unfortunately, that bias exists. And if it is a man, he is likely to get even more hammered by the court systems. Because if you're a young man alone and you don't fit that attractiveness stereotype, whatever that means, then you're probably creepy, right? Why are you creeping? That is a stereotype, unfortunately. So keep that in mind. We will see where this trial goes. I think Anne is being very smart. Let me know, did you watch this last hearing? Did you read the legal documents? And let me know if you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, share, send to your grandma. Send it to your grandma. She needs to know. She needs to know. So, I've ranted long enough. You guys have a wonderful night and wish me luck at job numero 2. Bye-bye.